I've picked up some mono fishing line that I'm gonna spool about 15 or 20 meters onto my brand new reel as a backing before then attaching the braided line and filling up the rest of the spool with braid. And in order to help me spool it up, I've made a little jig out of a few scrap pieces of wood that I've just clamped together, and I drilled a hole. And the idea is that I can put my brand new monoline spool in like that, and I can feed a bolt through and tighten up a little bit. And that way the line will feed straight off my handy dandy jig and come through, and I can spool it up with a little bit of assistance. That's the idea anyway. The first thing I'm going to do is attach my monoline to my new spool to make sure it's nice and secure before I spool it up. It's a bit hard to see with this monoline, but I'm just tying a uni knot to attach the line to my reel. I've put my new spool into my little jig, and I've fed it through the first eye of the fishing rod, and I've attached my line to my spool using a uni knot. So now all I have to do is, keeping tension, wind it on. Might help if I turn the drag up a bit. As you can see, I now have a nice base on my spool of monoline, so I can remove this just like that, and now I can attach the braided line to my monoline and do the same process and spool it on. Because the braided line spool is much thinner than the monoline, what I'm going to do is just undo all of the wood pieces on my jig, put this like that, and then I can reattach it, and this will fit in nice and snug in the thinner side. One of the new things I have to learn in moving over to braided line is a whole bunch of new knots that I'm not super familiar with, like the FG knot and double uni knot, because I haven't had to use them previously just using monoline. So I'm gonna have to go remind myself how to tie that knot, because I'm about to attach monoline to braided line on my reel and I forgot how to tie the knot. So I'll be back after I watch the video. Okay, I've just reminded myself, and I'm just cinching these two together to make a nice strong joint, just like that. So I tied a nice strong uni knot connecting the braid to the monoline, and then I've accidentally realized I forgot to move the bail arm. So my monoline is sitting on the wrong side. So I'm going to have to cut it off and do it again, which is an opportunity for me to practice. Now that I've fixed my mistake, I've got my monoline on the right side of the bail arm, and now I can attach the end of the monoline to my new braid. This is take 2 of tying my uni knot to attach the two lines together. Now that I've tied my braided line to my monoline, I then attached my braid to my little jig, and I can start spooling it up. And I'm going to use a damp cloth just to provide an extra little bit of tension as I reel through the line, just like this. Now that I've come to the end of my braided line spool, I've been able to spool up my brand new reel, and now all I have to do is find a day when I can go fishing and test out braided line.